Hi there. Today's topic is hand position. Sounds easy, but it's actually not that easy, and we want to make sure we have some very good fundamentals in place. Hand position is one of the three big things I tell my students that affects everything you do on the oboe. Posture, embouchure, hand position. Those are the three biggies that I tell my students about in their very first lesson with me, no matter how young or old they are, and I try my best to emphasize those things at every single lesson. So, hand position. First thing I want to say is anything I say in this video is meant to help you relax your hands and fingers. We're not trying to make our fingers look a certain way for any particular reason other than relaxing. Relaxation is our number one goal. So there are some tendencies of how most people's fingers look when their hands are most relaxed. The best way to do it is shake your hand out, hold the oboe in one hand, don't forget that part. Shake one hand by your side, just let it hang there limp and loose. Then pick your hand up and look in the mirror if you've got a mirror in front of you, and you'll see that your fingers are rounded. If you do this, you'll find your fingers get really tired pretty quickly. Worse yet, if I asked you to straighten just one finger, you would find you wouldn't be able to do it. Yet when you put your hands on the oboe, a lot of people are bad about straightening this finger and this finger. These are hard ones, especially for people that have short fingers and small hands. So we want all of our fingers to be rounded or curved. So tips on the keys, round your fingers. Always hold the oboe straight out in front of you. I'm looking at the image on my phone right now, but the best thing to do is to look in a mirror. But don't look like this because then your hands aren't in the right position. So just make a mental note, pro tip, put the oboe right out in front of you, and that way you can get the most bang for your buck, so you can see what your hands need to look like when you're actually playing. So rounded fingers, tips on the keys. Very important is the angle between your finger and the oboe should not be 90 degrees. When we try to make 90-degree angles, our fingers want to compress. What we're wanting to do is to let your fingers, in a very relaxed way, spread apart. This looks like a small instrument. The oboe is a small instrument, but the tone holes are very far apart for such a small instrument. So we actually have to be very careful about our hand position so that we're able to spread our fingers apart and have them relax. So number one, tips on the keys. Number two, curve your fingers. And number three, tilt your fingers upward so that you're making smaller than a 90-degree angle. That's generally going to get your hands pretty relaxed. Another thing my teacher told me about is your knuckles. This is what I would call when my knuckles are showing. The skin is pulling tight on top of each knuckle. You can see that. You don't want that when you play the oboe. Now my knuckles are hidden. I don't want that either. So I want to be able to see my knuckles, but I don't want them to stick up. And you can tell sometimes when I have younger students and they come in and it's really hard for them to reach this G key or the D key, I see that one knuckle sticking up like mine is right now. So you don't want that. You want to round your fingers so that no knuckles are showing. So, finger wiggles in tempo is a really great way to practice having a good hand position and to move your fingers up and down with rounded fingers. So it's very important to know that your fingers should be curved when they're up as well as curved when they're down. And you're picking them up from this joint right here. The joint right beside your knuckles is the part that you should think about lifting. I've seen people kind of flick their fingers up when they lift them up. That's a terrible thing to do because you're just working way too hard and you're involving a lot of muscles that don't need to. Think about your fingers as being little pistons that go up and down. So when we do our finger wiggles, we're going to find a steady beat. We're going to do eighth notes, triplets, 16th notes, 2 sets of triplets, and then 32nd notes. So So we want to try to do that with a metronome will be a way better idea, just to make sure your beat is super steady. You're looking in the mirror and you're playing your finger wiggles, and you can actually, if you want to do this, the best time to do it is at the beginning of your practice and at the end of your practice. I can get my students to do the beginning of the practice session, but it's really hard when you're ready to stop practicing, you're tired, you want to go do something else and take a break. If you can do these finger wiggles for like 3 or 4 minutes, then you're going to put the oboe in the case and you're going to have that on your mind. Something about it makes it stick better. Anything you're trying to change or improve about your practice, I find doing it at the very beginning and the very end of the practice is the best thing. So I've got my little cheat sheet over here. I want to make sure I'm covering everything. I think I did say everything I wanted to say, but I'm going to end how I started by telling you that the reason we have our fingers look this certain way, rounded fingers, tips on the keys, tilted upwards, is so that your hands and your fingers can relax, so that you can have great technique. You can have solid technique so that you can play really fast and really accurately at the same time, and even more importantly, so that you can avoid any kind of injuries that can happen from tense hands. We don't want to go there. Tendonitis, pinched nerves, all that stuff. We don't want to go down that road. We want you to be happy and healthy oboe players, and having a very relaxed hand position is a big step. Thank you.